Here we go.
Hi, this is Andrew Oye from directcomposer.com. Today I'm in the studio and I'm recording a female pop vocal track. And I often get asked by other composers and people wanting to do production music for a living, what's some of the plugins and software that I use. So today I'm going to show you on this track exactly what I used and what I use on most of my stuff. This song was recreated in about 4 hours. I like to work really fast. And that's something I think that's important when you do this this type of profession, is that you need to be quick because clients want it right away, and it's got to sound good too. You know, it can't sound amateur. So I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I've picked up, and then I'll show you the recording process after all this is done. So to do this track, the first thing I used was this loop vocal thing by Zero-G, and it's a singing performance split up into different parts, and you can piece it together. There's no instruments that come with it, so you got to create a song around it. And let me play the vocal for you.
It never worked out fine. I watched it fall away.
So she's got a really great voice. Sounds a lot similar to Amanda Marshall. And you can see I pieced it here together, the different parts of the vocal performance. And I went in with the MIDI there and moved it around a little bit. Then once I had the vocal performance laid out into sections, I took the acoustic guitar out and I bashed out some chords and figured out the arrangement. And then I started building the song. And after that, the chords are figured out, here's what I laid down. I took these guitar harmonics and I used this software by Spectrasonics called Omnisphere. Let me open it up. And I used these smoked lap steel harmonics. So I kind of cheated. I didn't play it on guitar on this one, but it's very quick. This track was done within minutes, and let me just play it for you.
It never.
Oops. You can hear it's kind of got that U2 sort of thing going on, so it follows throughout the song in various sections. And then I started building the percussion around it. I took another thing by Spectrasonics called Stylus, and I used this loop here just to kind of be a slow sort of background thing that'll build with the drums later on. When the real drums kick in, I took this same loop here and I used an EQ, which I'm going to show you. This is called Filter Bank. And Filter Bank for me is pretty much the only EQ I use. I know lots of mixing engineers and stuff have various EQs they use, but this one for me was the only one that actually sounded like a real EQ and didn't sound harsh at all. And what I like to do in this section here is I cut off all the low end from the kick drum, because right underneath here I'm going to have real drums come in playing over top, and I didn't want that getting in the way. And what you can do, if you haven't done this before, is you use this high pass filter, and it's on all these EQs, not just this one. And I boosted it way up here just to get rid of the kick drum. And you can hear a touch of it, but it's barely there. And then that won't get in the way of the drums here. Okay, so after that was done, I laid down a really rough drum track here. And then I had Darcy come in and he played this track in about just over 3 minutes. We did like 3 quick little punch-in takes, and it was quite easy for him to do. And I'll show you his performance down here in MIDI. You can see there's everything he played. The software that we used for this one is called Superior Drums. There it is there. And I just basically chose the stock setting that comes with it, the Avatar drum set. I had them going through my Roland V kit, just a really cheap Roland V kit, and that's it. It was really simple. Didn't have to mic up a drum kit or any of that stuff. I wanted it to be done quick. The one trick that I did though, and I picked this trick up after watching some of Dave Pensato's stuff, and if you haven't checked out his stuff, go to Pensato Place on YouTube. Really cool lessons and talking with all these various engineers. And he seems like a really cool guy too. So what I did is I took the track that Darcy played and I rendered it as an audio file and put it underneath here. And I'll play this for you. And there it is. That's just a plain file, no effects on it. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to run a compressor on it. So once again, I went to the Mcdsp stuff, which I just love. Here's their new 6030 compressor. It's got all these different compressors you can choose. And what I wanted to do is squash the hell out of this drum track, make it sound like this. Now you might be going, why do I want it to sound like that? Well, the reason why I want it to sound like that is because I want it to be tucked up underneath the real drum track that I have, and it'll give it a little bit more power and punch, just a touch of it. And so to get it to be like that, here's what you can do. You take a compressor. Now I'm just using this one, but you can do this with any of your compressors. And you play the track and you start cranking the threshold right up. And I'm running the compression about 6 to 1 there, but you can run it even more if you want. I'll turn the volume up a bit. Okay. And then the next thing you do is, you know, adjust your attack. I've got it about midway there, but I'm just going to take this release button. I'm going to start pulling it till you can hear the drum start to pump. Right about there. And they start pumping in time with the music. Once you get that pumping sound, you're good to go. So I'm going to play you the drums. So there's Darcy's regular track. And what I've done with this compressed track, as you can see, I just barely have it on there. I'm going to turn it on. It doesn't really raise the volume too much, but it makes it sound a lot punchier. Off. On. It's subtle, but that's what we want to go for. You want to go for subtlety on all these things to make them sound better. Okay, after the drums are done, here I added a tambourine track after the fact, just in the chorus. Let's give it a punch. Another little trick that I did too is I took this snare sample here, and this is just one that came with Logic. I didn't even choose really carefully. I just picked one. I reversed the sound of it. I'll let you hear it. I ran a little bit of reverb on it, and right before it kicks into the chorus, just that little effect makes the chorus get some punch. Then I did the acoustic guitars, and I'm going to play them here. Now I ran some effects on them. And the effects that I use is, first I ran, well, look at that, Mcdsp again. I ran their new retro, well, this isn't new, I guess. It's new for me, but the retro compressor. And I got the sound to compress, I don't know, not too much, just getting all the peaks and stuff. But what I like about this compressor is it adds a little bit of character and warmth to the sound and roughs out the top sort of digital edges. And then once again, I got the EQ out, and what you got to do on all your guitars and instruments that aren't the bass guitar and the kick drum is you got to roll this low end off, or else you're going to get all these horrible sounds blocking the bass and stuff. And that was a mystery for me when I was starting out. I could never get the bass to sound okay, and it's because all these instruments were clouding the way. So I'm using this high pass filter here. I click it on, and usually with all these instruments I just start around cutting off about 90 there. And you can see I cut some of the top with the opposite one, the low pass filter, just to get rid of some really high-end information I didn't need in there. And I go through all my tracks and do that if they're not bass and drums. Then I have the electric guitars here. And I'm using the Pod Farm plugin for that. Then next I'm using, I have a cello that comes in, and there's many different great software companies out there. On this one I'm using the Los Angeles scoring strings, but you can use East West, they all got great stuff. I just used that one for this one. And for mastering, I am not a mastering engineer, I will admit that. But because I'm cranking so many of these songs out so quick on a daily basis, I would go absolutely broke if I had to pay somebody to do that. And I've yet to have somebody complain who's used my stuff on TV and movies and stuff. So lately I've been using this Easy Mix mastering preset just to start things off. I find that it, especially for pop tracks, it kind of gives it that more modern sound. Then I ran it through this analog channel by Mcdsp using one of the bus compressors, and it gives it a warmer sound, really takes away a lot of that harsh edge, but it's so subtle that you really have to listen carefully. But like I said, that's the trick. You want it to be subtle. You want it to be too obvious. And then to finish things off, I use Waves L3 multi-maximizer here. This just gets the levels up to be loud enough to compete with modern recordings. What I like about it too is you can EQ all the different bands, your low, your mids, your highs. I find for me, if I have to start really EQing every one of these majorly, then I've screwed up somewhere in the mix. So you shouldn't have to do too much. And that's basically how I did it. I'm going to show you in a second here. You'll get to see the performances of all the tracks. Thanks.
It never worked out fine. I watched it fall away. It slipped right through my fingers as I heard you say, we're still